If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option, as Sori says. $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in a Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall eat them.
So buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
Wasp, The Real Me, is up next on our DJ 7 Dusted stream. He said, real cool cover of my favorite song by The Who. Very fuck the establishment message that the Who were renowned for.
Yes, sir, Reed Bobbert. Okay. Wasp, The Real Me. You got those lyrics up?
I'm pulling it up now.
Because I want to see this anti-establishment thing. And shout out to Tears for Fears for not
blocking us.
Not blocking us. Here go the
sending the love to us.
Hold, I see what you did. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, this could be some hypocritical shit if you guys shut down our channel, my guy.
Yeah.
All right, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants with The Real Me. Let's do it.
Telling about my weekend, but I never
wait a minute. What was that at the end? Yo, Seven, is that it? Was that a drum at the end? Was that a double bass drum at the end? I've never heard it so deep before. Listen. Right here. That's a drummer doing that?
Sounds like it.
Okay. If that's a drummer, I want to copy that shit. Holy moly. Shout out to JN64. Okay.
Oh, man, I'll tell you, I have thought about this like so much within the last, I don't know, probably 6 months, where I'm like, I feel like everybody needs to be trained in like psychology and being able to recognize, like, I feel like in school that should be one of the most important classes, is to be able to have like an understanding of human beings and how things work, and because sometimes you can't see necessarily.
But according to which school of thought, Jung or Freud?
Well, you could have some of both, but obviously I'm more on the side of Jung, but you could teach both and let the listener decide which one they want to kind of roll with, but just because I've always thought that we're so separated, because we haven't like adopted the idea that human beings are more than just one thing. Like you don't feel well, so you go and you see the doctor, and then the doctor says, well, there's nothing wrong with you. You must have fibromyalgia. And then that becomes some laughable term that people are like, that's just a made up thing, blah, blah, blah. But the person themselves is experiencing excruciating pain and weird symptoms in their body that the doctor can't tell what it is. So the doctor says, there's nothing wrong with you. But if we had like, where when you went to the doctor or whatever, you actually had a pastor, because he's going to deal with, we're Christians, so I'm going to say a pastor. He's going to look at the soul aspect of a person in your spirit and like where you're at with your relationship with God. Like, how are you doing spiritually? How's that going? And then, you could have like, the shrink, I think he's called it a shrink, like they're going to deal with the psychological side of what's going on with you. And then you have the doctor that's dealing with your body. And if they all work together, then you might end up finding out more of what's going on. I mean, sometimes people are really, really stressed out about, I don't know why this person keeps calling. You have this person that's super stressed out about this or that thing, and it ends up affecting their body, and they don't even realize that there's to write in my journal, I'm probably going to die this year. I thought I had some kind of cancer because I was dealing with like depression, and we didn't talk about that. Like, they never talked about that at church. Everybody always seemed that I was around seemed to think that depression was only something that like dark people got. Like, you know what I mean? Like
spiritually dark.
Spiritually dark people got. Like, Christians can't really get like that. That's for those people. So I was like, well, so mentally I was saying, okay, well then I don't have depression. I'm fine. Even though I was feeling really heavy and the effects were on me, and so I thought I must have cancer because I feel so tired, and I write in my journal, I'm so exhausted, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, like, but that's where if you had them all working together, like, even if the pastor is like, oh, we don't believe in that, you're a spiritual person, like, you're reading your Bible, you're doing this or that, like, obviously you want a pastor that's going to understand that people can get depression even if they're spiritually whatever.
Yeah.
But if they're working together and they recognize, no, there's a depression that's taking over here, and then it's having an effect on the body. So the doctor would have looked at me and said, you're perfectly fine, there's nothing wrong with you. The pastor would say, there's nothing wrong with you, you're reading your Bible, you're going to church, you're doing, you know what I mean? But then the shrink would say, actually, no, you're suffering from some depression here, and that suffering of depression is causing an effect on your body and is making you feel, you know what I mean? Like, so if they could like work together. So this to me was kind of like a version of that, because you had him going to the doctor saying, can you see the real me? Then he goes to his mother and he's asking his mother, can you see the real me? And he's like saying he's crazy, and she's like, he runs in the family, I understand. But nobody's giving him anything that like helps. But again, that's why, like, I've just felt like, man, if this was taught in school, so even like, and I think that it should be taught just like we do with math. Like, you start with, we're doing 1 + 1 and 2 + 2, and then we're going to multiplication, and then we're doing division, and then we're getting into this, then we're doing algebra, then we're doing, like, you keep adding and adding, and math becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't believe that math needs to get that advanced if you're not going to take a future in something that's math related. I think that it's honestly a waste of time.
You do.
I absolutely do. Why? You're not going to use it. You know how much of my math I use? I use small fractions because I cook, and addition, subtraction, some division, like all of that, like a basic. Beyond that, you know, the teachers are wrong. They said, what, are you going to have a calculator in your pocket? We all do, yes. Thank you very much. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, so when I see this, I'm like, that though, if you started little children with small understandings of psychology and how the body, like, interacts within itself, between the spirit, the physical, and like your mental capabilities and stuff, and you were able to build and grow on that, I think that people would be able to do more internal work for themselves and be able to figure out where some of their issues were coming from and be able to start working on it. But also your friends, because sometimes you can't, like, a bird's eye view gives you a different view than actually, like, being right down in the situation. And so your friends around you, of course, they love and they care about you. So if they see you struggling, like, I think that a lot of times kids want to help other kids. Like, you know how teenagers will want to help each other, but they don't know what they're doing. So, you know, they might give each other bad advice, but if they're all being trained in psychology from a very young age, by the time they hit the teen years, when stuff starts to really get amped up and gets more difficult, they're all, like, basically little psychologists. They can all help each other out to kind of, you know, and the parents and everybody, like, as a complete society, we all are growing in that. Then I just think that we would be a healthier people.
But the other thing is like, I'm not sure the person's even mentally ill in this song per se.
No, I don't think so either.
So that's the other side of it, is like, you know,
we all have problems. You
know, like, it's like what Seven was saying. Like, if you're a nonconformist or whatever, they're immediately going to say that you're crazy, or that something is wrong with you. So you might be in a situation where the psychologist does say, actually diagnose with you with something. Like, I was just watching this interview with Aaron Mate's dad, and he was talking about ADHD and all the rest of it. And his perspective on ADHD was mind-boggling to me. He said that it was a defense mechanism for distress.
What?
Because the kid is sitting there, and he talks about, you know, when people were in their extremely bad situations, what do? They'll disassociate.
Okay.
They'll put their mind someplace else.
Yeah.
So because the teacher is not teaching according to the kid's learning style, the kid can't learn. There's an expectation for him to learn. The kid next to him is completely fine, gets it, no problem. He's hearing it like Spanish. So his anxiety is increasing exponentially because his personality type isn't, like, we've got homeschool kids. And so there's some kids like Dorian, he could sit down. You give him 2 hours of work, he'll sit down for 2 hours and lock in, and he can do it no problem. I think he's the only one like that. Johan.
Yeah, but even he at some points, like, he could do it, but he didn't want to, and he would, like, he would actually, like, jump through hoops to be able to, like, not do the work, but do the work.
No, that's true.
Like, there's a lot of ingenuity that was going on sometimes.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, if you look at that.
But yeah, no, none of them were
so
good at
Mate's
doing that.
thing is, like, that's actually a defense mechanism for the child. The child is in extreme duress. They're actually, because they know
every
they can't,
person that I can think of, they all,
and so they'll float off.
Yeah.
So that's not even a crazy person. That is, we're crazy for thinking that all 20 kids are going to learn the exact same way, and this underpaid, stressed out woman. I mean, a lot of these teachers have been protesting all summer. So, like, it's crazy for us to think that experiment was going to work. Mm-hmm. So we're the crazy ones with the system, but now the kid is the one who has a problem, usually a boy. He can't sit still, his mind, the ADD, yada, yada, yada. And he's looking at it like, no, like, you just traumatized this kid. And so the kid, his mind is wandering off because he's protecting himself from this anxious situation. And then, especially if you think about these little kids, you know, it's like, What do you want when you're little? You want your mom and dad. Well, they're not there.
I know.
They're not there. So all the adults that are there to comfort you disapprove of you. And then when you get home, they tell your mom that you misbehaved again. So of course
then
it
you
would
gotta
be a
get
defense
yeah.
mechanism.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. We actually like we ended up working with like a. I don't know what you call it. Basically, I can't think of the name now, but basically they work with the school programs with you, and they help you to see like these are all the things that are available to you and blah blah blah. And she was basically saying for the first few years of school there should be like basically no books. It's just really like get the kids outside and let them catch frogs and let them, plant things outside and see how those things grow and just kind of have conversations. Like everything should be hands-on. Like,
but that's what I'm saying. So
that's
now
they're not able to do that though.
Yeah, now these kids like they're being. It's like Seven says. My daughter thrives as a homeschooler. She'd fail miserably in the structure of standard school systems, and that's the problem with the structure, not the girl. But that's what I'm saying.
Right.
But what happens is we've got millions of dollars in an entire society structured around this institution. So we can't say we need to rethink that institution because that has serious ramifications. Like, for example, should we just dissolve the entire things and then basically have it as, charter schools, and we give a certain kind of credit to parents, a certain kind of tax credit to parents who opt to homeschool. Right? And so that would be too much of a radical reorientation of our society. We know homeschoolers do better.
Yep.
But there are elements in our society that don't want to handle that kind of risk.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you the amount of moms that came to me when I first started homeschooling Selah, so that was like friggin' 12 years ago, and they were like, you're gonna homeschool. Now this was before COVID, because COVID, I think, actually opened up the door for a lot of parents to say, actually, I think I can fucking do this. But
I agree.
Prior to that, like, nobody thought, like, everybody's self-esteem on whether or not they could teach their own kids was shot. And because we came up in a society that was dominated by school systems, like, people, that was all they knew. And so I would tell people, do you realize for the majority of American history, we were homeschooling our kids? Like, that's a relatively new development that our kids were getting sent away to schools. Before that, like, I mean, a lot of Lincoln and all those people, their parents taught them from home. But people's confidence is completely shot. They don't believe that they can do it. And I think part of that is also because in the school systems, they're teaching them everything about everything, and it's just too big. It's like, my mom, when she homeschooled us, she wanted to make sure we got everything like in, because she didn't want us to get taken away from them or whatever. But she's like, friggin', I don't know anything about algebra, so she put us in a night course for algebra. You can improvise on the things that you don't know what you're doing, and there's
even more so now, you've got Zoom, you've got
they actually have programs that you can do, like,
there's a
online.
lot of there's so many things. Like right now, like Selah is doing some graphic design stuff and she wants to take the next level, and so she, I'm getting her a masterclass where it's literally a masterclass where they have experts. It's like a 10-part course. You pay a flat fee and whatever. They have a subscription service, so depending on how much she does and how popular it is in the house, it's a subscription service just like Netflix or whatever. Oh. So they can, hey, I want to do this, and it all comes up.
Okay.
That's like Zoe did a precursor to that thing with some of her writing and stuff. So my point is, like, the song is like nonconformist, and like some of it is your point, like, that there's like a mental health aspect to it, and there are different aspects of the being of what a person is. Yeah. But then there's also the questioning of the structures that crazy make in the first place.
Yep.
So if you've got a structure that consistently spits out this kind of illness, you have to at some point say, maybe it's the structure that's producing, maybe we've got a bad tree here. So instead of saying we got a bad apple, this kid is a bad apple, so we need to medicate this bad apple. Maybe it's a bad tree. Right, and we need to cut down the bad tree and then have a good tree so you can have good apples. But anyway, A lot of different ways you could take
My
this,
biggest
but
thing is, you know,
I
like that
enjoyed
song, that song that we listened to the other day that was like "School's Out," blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a school system that is like very few kids are like, I love school. Everybody else is like, I friggin' hate it. I don't want to go.
Right. So that
like,
a rock classic.
then it's like, come on, we got a problem.
There's no like rock classic that says like I hate football practice
Right.
or I hate
Right.
playing video games. Like, yeah, it gets to the point where your system is so jacked up that
I had so many kids that would come up to me and say, I wish my mom would homeschool me like you're homeschooling your daughter.
yeah.
Like all the
tough.
time. And it was hard to hear people saying that because
That's
it was
tough.
like, man, listen, you know. Anyway, this
What do you give that one?
9.
I gotta give this one a 9.4 because that drum part at the end was crazy,
Yeah, it was.
bro.
It
That
was.
crazy. Really, really good job. All right, guys. We have
Seven
reached
Dust
the
is
end,
doing the
but
Seven Dust song.
but we're gonna do the thing, you know, like you let yay guys, we're off the stage, and then like all the band is still there, or whatever. Then boom, we come out for the encore. I don't know why bands still do that. It's like, nigga, we know you coming out, bro. We know you coming
I know,
out.
especially with the internet.
You know what I'm saying?
We got a
Like,
set list
even
now.
before the internet, like I knew immediately they were coming down. But we got one more.
It's called the last song.
It's it's called the last song, you dumb butts. That's because it's the last
Vin out.
song. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Go.